Bill Henshaw here again, your local friendly constitutional coop from San Francisco. And the subject matter of this video is going to be homeowners associations. 8. Been in the news a lot lately, as you know, and they think they have an incredible amount of powers, not unlike what you see in the traffic court and child procurement syndicate, and you name it. Total power. They can take away your property for no reason at all, based on a BS fine or something like that, or you violating a term and condition of the agreement. But you have to understand at the outset, people, what we have is an unlimited power to contract, secured by at least Article 1, Section 10 of and or the 9th Article of Amendment 2, the Constitution for the United States, 1787 to 1791, assuming arguendo it remains in full force and effect. And we have a Supreme Court right now where the justices know this to be true and are taking a lot of action in the right direction to let the American people know that. And John Roberts et al., I wish he would do it faster and tell the American people what you're doing. You couldn't have overturned Roe v. Wade. It never existed. 14th Amendment civil rights case, the 14th Amendment doesn't exist. It never has. Once we get that situation out of the way and you understand the true history of the American law, things start to come together. So these damn homeowners associations, number one, they don't make a full disclosure of all the terms and conditions of the agreement, even when you sign it and even when you appear to do so voluntarily. Actually, what you have, if not physically, is literally a gun to your head when you do this. And they think they can because they don't think you have any rights. What they're forgetting is that the de facto undefined dollars you use to pay for your property represent your property in the form of your time and labor. And that's where we have property rights, and they can't intervene there without violating a whole lot of provisions of the U.S. Constitution. To learn more about that, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And note that these homeowners associations almost invariably are registered with an LLC with what looks like the Secretary of State of a sovereign independent state admitted into this union. Since I can prove off the top of my head there aren't any states of that type remaining and haven't been for arguably 140 years, their LLC isn't worth jack shit when you get into a common law court that we have a right to from day one. They don't have standing. And all of it makes sense. They're the ones that are supposed to be the beneficiaries of this Constitution and laws enacted in pursuance thereof. And that's what the framers said too. They wanted to do that to ensure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Not IBM, not Chase Bank, not Microsoft. Ain't us. We're the ones that did this and we want it back. And we have a right to get it back, and with an unprecedented window where the Supreme Court understands just about everything I'm saying here. Not only has that not always been true, and acting like a judicial court for the first time in very arguably 90 years. And keep on doing it, guys, and go faster. Tell the American people what you're doing and why they're going to love you for it. So it's good news for all of us, and that's how we get rid of these HOAs. And among other things, as you'll learn from getting my material, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. These HOAs don't exist. We do, they don't. And we get into a judicial court. We are going to serve them process, but we're going to serve a motion to strike every pleading they put in there because they lacked standing and didn't make a full disclosure and did a lot of other things that vitiated the contract from day one, assuming arguendo it exists. But think about that. We have the right to buy what we want. We don't need any HOA in the way of our business. We don't need the D&D if we want to go out and buy a common law conveyance, not a vehicle of a type required to be registered. That's the way it should work. We have unlimited power to contract. And that's what we want to get into, not all this civil rights crap and everything going back to the 14th Amendment. If you do it right, and the Supreme Court understands this. They have a thing called the Ashwander Doctrine, was the first page of the first law course I took over 40 years ago. And some of the rules in there, for example, they say that the court will not decide a question of constitutional law in the event of the necessity of answering it. You don't ask, we won't answer. And they know, especially in the last 70 years, that no member of the Supreme Court are in their right mind is going to raise issues of the type that I do, unopposed structural jurisdictional errors, and that 99% and half of us don't have a clue how to do it. It must be how some of them sleep at night, for all I know. But when we get there squarely before the court, and we've got them again, their own words, they call it Combs v. Virginia, 6 Wheaton 264, I believe it's the site. And the current justices know this case very well. They've cited it several times in the last 4 terms. And what does it say? Constitution gave to each person having a claim upon a state a right to present his claim to the court of the nation. No matter how small the claim or how little interest the community in its outcome, the framers of our Constitution thought it necessary in the interest of justice to create a tribunal as superior to influence as possible in which that claim might be decided. No legal ease here. Most fifth graders, especially in the era that I was in school, are going to understand this clearly and unambiguously. Today, you don't know. They're never going to hear it either in school, and I didn't when I was there. But I would have understood it if I did. So that's the fight that we're in here. But if we do all that, and then take it to them with the PTAs and call them out if they're not doing their job. And as I've suggested in an earlier video I've just done, it looks like to me that for parents, especially with 2 working parents, and one parent has to either reduce their time at work or quit altogether to educate their child or children, I believe we could make the government pay for it because they're not doing the sworn duty they have to provide a meaningful and substantive education. So that's the major big deal of this. So check out the earlier videos. They'll be up here within a couple of days. So will these. I don't know exactly when this is, November 2nd. But yeah, I talk about that. And or if you have to pay to put your kids in private school to get an education, I think that will be covered too, because those kids have a right to meaningful and substantive education. And it's not coming anywhere in this national socialist government. That's the last thing they want, is educated, intelligent people who are going to know their rights and act accordingly when they're members of the jury, when we come before them. So a lot going on here. But to learn more, send me an email, uwinningcourt@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we do that, the faster we get these bastards off our backs. Thanks.